and let's go. All right, chat. So for the third tip guide that we have, we're going to talk about how to climb Valorant ranked fast. And I put a bunch of notes in my phone so we can cover a bunch of things. So the first thing I wanted to talk about was just a reminder. The first video was about general tips about aim, movement, buying, and a bunch of other things. If you guys want to check that out. Also, we made a second video which was about agent tips. I gave tips on every single agent, so you can go through that second video as well. This is the third one about ranked. And also with the camera, I had a lot of questions in the last video about my camera. I use an inverted camera. I'm not left-handed. This is my right hand. My camera is just inverted, so it faces towards the gameplay. And one more thing, if my game looks more colorful or vibrant than other people, it's because I use NVIDIA settings called digital vibrance, and I put it on about 80%. Some people like to do 60, 70, 80. Some people even do 100. I just think it makes it look a lot more colorful and less bland than default setting. So I like to use it, and I feel like it makes enemies pop out a little bit more than regular settings too. Well, the first thing I want to talk about is warm-up routine. Every time I start my game, I do a warm-up routine. I didn't do this in some other games I played because aim wasn't as intensive. Cough Overwatch. But in Valorant, this game is 90%. I mean, it's not 90% aim, but it's very aim intensive. Super important to be on point with your shots. So practicing your aim is really, really important. And the best way to do this is in the practice range. So what I like to do is have a routine. So every time I get on, I spend about maybe 5, 10, 15 minutes, just depending on like how I'm feeling for the day, to warm up, get my muscles right, like warmed up, my hand actually like not stiff, and you know, I don't feel cold. Like I actually feel like I'm hitting shots. And I'll just like go through my routine real quick with you guys. So I like to pick Sage, and the reason I pick Sage over every other character is because you can create walls. And with her wall is you can use it to mimic like corner peeking, and you can practice your counter strafing and like shooting bots like this. And you can also do like you know, you can do vertical walls and make it a little easier to like go like this. Doesn't really matter, but Sage is really good for warming up because you can use the walls. The next thing I do is need to buy guns, obviously. I like to buy the Vandal. I always start with the Vandal and the Ghost, and then after that I go to the Phantom and the Sheriff, and then after that I go to Operator, and then if I want to practice other guns I will, but generally I only practice the Ghost, the Sheriff, the Vandal, and the Phantom and the Op to warm up. And what I'll do is I'll spawn, if you type F3 when you're standing in front of this, you can spawn a bunch of bots and then add armor to them, keep your ammo infinite, and then I'll keep them static like this, and I'll just click heads and go like this just to warm up my aim. I'll just flick around like this static without moving, and then eventually I'll start, you know, counter strafing, or I'll start moving and like this and get some more movement into it. The same with the pistol. I go like this, practice movement. I also like to go in between the bots like this so I can practice 180s. Or I can like practice really quick turns. This helps build muscle memory for flicks. So I like to stand in the middle. And I'll do that for each gun. So I'll go through with the Phantom. And we'll go through with the Sheriff. And I'll do the same thing. And I'll go in between. And I'll go like this. Flick, circles. Once I'm done with all that, I'll practice the op real quick, like I said. You can practice quickscoping. Believe it or not, you can quickscope in this game. I don't know why, but some people say you can't. I guess you can't in CSGO. I don't know. But you can quickscope. If you guys don't believe me, go check out either my Reddit or my Twitter. I got a really cool quad quickscope. Yeah, I have a really cool quickscope clip on my Twitter if you guys want to check out. But anyways, that's what I do for my gun warm-up. And then after this, if you want, another thing you can do is you can turn on the strafe. Usually I like to not do the spawn with the strafe. I like to do the regular. I think you go like this. Yeah, so I like to do this. So like it gets the bots to strafe, and then you can practice like that. And also, if you really, really want to get into a cool game mode, you can do hard on speed with actually don't do strafe. Just do hard on speed and then start, and it'll spawn bots really quickly. So you can practice your really accurate flicks and try to get a high score in 30 seconds. So that's usually my warm-up routine on how I like to do it. Warming up is really important. It's not good to just open your game and go straight into a game. So this is going to help you a lot in ranked to get like a routine that you're always doing every time you get in. And you can practice your spray patterns over here and stuff like that. All right, so that's the first thing I wanted to talk about in the guide was warm-up routine. The next thing was character tier list, gun tier list, and meta. So in ranked, I can for sure tell you the best two characters that people are always going to pick. You're almost always going to see this on both teams is Sage and Cypher. Cypher is a very, very, very strong character. Sage is very, very, very. These are almost 100% picks, staples. Every team is going to have them. They're just so insane. Sage is just nutty all-around kit. She has heal, res, you know, stall. Cypher, information is one of the most important things you can have in this game. And he's also good at holding down points by himself. Cypher is really, really good with his traps for holding teams back. And also do like that. So like anyone can't push through lanes because you could just like activate your traps and stall. And the most important thing with him is his camera. Like his camera is absolutely insane for information because you could just sit on point and you could just activate your camera and watch. And then his ultimate is also really good for information as well. So those are the two characters that are going to be most picked, in my opinion, in ranked, who have the highest. Even if they're not most picked, I think they're going to have the highest win percent for how much they are picked. And then the next characters that I would say is next are the flash-based characters, and that's Breach and Phoenix. Phoenix, whenever you're solo queuing, is going to be one of the best characters in the game because his kit is so good. But you're always going to want to have characters that have flashes in them, just like CS, how flashes are so strong. And Breach, in my opinion, is slightly picked more than Phoenix in like high-level play. But either way, both of them are extremely good for the third pick. The fourth pick, you want to have a smoke character. By smoke character, it's usually Brimstone or Omen. And Brimstone is much better overall kit. And his smokes are just usually better because you can use like 3 at the same time. But Omen can be strong too. The problem with Omen is that the rest of his kit is much weaker than the rest of Brimstone's kit overall. Most people gravitate towards Brimstone, but you can make Omen happen. And then the fifth character is usually the flex pick. Most people like to do Sova. Some people like to do a second stun character or flash character like Phoenix or Breach. Or some people like to do a second smoke character, so they'll do Brimstone and Omen. Some people like to do Jet. If they're just insanely mechanically gifted, they'll do Jet. Some people even like to throw in Viper if they're just absolutely nutty at Viper. I think Viper's not as good as a lot of the other characters, but that she's still picked. And then Raze is also pretty good too, but she's usually at the bottom of the list compared to all the other flex picks. She's a little cheesy. And the problem with Raze is that her kit is good like immediately, but it doesn't really offer a lot of long-term stall, and it lacks a little bit of consistency compared to a lot of the other characters. I think overall you're going to see a lot of Jets because people love Jet, and you're going to see a lot of Sovas because Sova's information and his kit is just really, really strong. But regardless, like the fifth pick, pretty flexible. It just depends on what people like to play. That's just what I have to talk about with the overall character meta. Now, gun tier list. So at the beginning of the game, most people are always going to buy a ghost and ability. So if I'm playing, let's say, Brimstone, for example, I really, really like to buy a ghost. And let me see if I can just drop this. I like to buy a ghost first round, and then also 3 smokes. So I'll have 2 extra smokes and a stim beacon. Stim beacon is extremely strong in the pistol round because it allows you to shoot really quickly, and it allows your whole team to spray people down, which gives your team just an insane advantage whenever you take a team fight early on or try to push through a choke point. And also having 3 smokes in the first round is really, really, really powerful. After the first round, I'm not going to get into the specifics, but generally, some things you could do is you could buy a full armor and a sub, or you could buy like a Vandal and a light armor, which is a little bit risky because you can't buy any abilities. But the good thing about buying a Vandal and a light armor, or a Phantom and a light armor if you win the first round, is that you can save it for the third round, and you can either rebuy an armor or buy your abilities if you didn't break your armor. And you'll have a good gun for the third round when the other team is done saving their after the second round and into the third round. A gun tier list, at the top of the list, I would say Ghost is very, very strong for the cheaper guns. Sheriff is pretty good, but most people use Ghost more often than Sheriff unless it's towards the later rounds when people have heavy armor. Then they'll start buying sheriffs if they need. The judge is extremely powerful if you need to force like a round where you need to buy. If you don't have enough to full buy like a good gun, judge is actually really, really strong. Some of the ways that you should use judge is just hold like really close angles and just go like this and hold close angles. And if you know someone's there, then just literally jump around the corner. Because when you're jumping with the judge, you guys notice how it doesn't really matter. Like, it just makes you harder to get hit, and you're still accurately able to hit shots. One of the things I noticed with the judge, though, is it's really important to hit your first shot because it's a lot harder to consistently do damage on the second shot because the spread, I think, is more. But I could be wrong in that. But it's just what I've noticed. But yeah, judge is really good. Buck is, you know, it can be pretty good, too. It's definitely a lot cheaper than judge, but I prefer using judge most of the time for the cheaper guns. Spectre is obviously good. Guns that I usually never buy are Frenzy, Stinger, Marshall, either of the LMGs. I tend to stick around like Judge, Ghost, Phantom, Vandal, obviously 2 best guns in the game next to the Op. You can force Bulldog every now and then. It just depends on the scenario. You can force Spectre every now and then. Depends on the scenario. Like second round, if you win, you can go Spectre. So I hope that gives like a good rough explanation of the good guns in the game. I always recommend to stay away from the LMGs unless you like have a niche scenario you want to use them, or the Stinger. I don't really use Stinger very often, and I don't really use Marshall very often. It could definitely be good like round 2, but then you're stuck with it round 3, so it's a little rough. Just depends how nutty you are with it. But either way, everything is good value for how much it costs, so it's not like you can have a strict gun tier list. It's just depending on how much you're investing into the power level you want to have. Like even Shorty's really, really good sometimes. It only costs 200 because you can get a free kill on someone even if they have an armor. All right, so that's the gun discussion. We'll talk about predicting players, aim prediction versus aim skill. So I'm gonna go to a map for this, but predicting players is something that you can actively do in each game, and it's where you can guess where people are gonna go before they attack. So let's say, for example, a team went, if you're on defense on Haven, a team went A 3 rounds in a row, and you're like, and they won all 3 rounds. Where do you guys think they're gonna go on the 4th round? Where do you think they're gonna go, chat? They're probably gonna go A again because they know that you're not doing anything about it. The first 3 rounds, you lost all 3 rounds. Either you're weak at A, you're not adjusting to where they're attacking. They're just gonna, why change your strat when it's just working every round? And you guys might not believe that happens, but you'll notice once you start playing more and you're like on defense and they take A every round, they're most likely going to gravitate towards A. So you could try and consider changing things up a little bit, so you're ready for the attack. So yeah, so that's prediction of like strategies, thinking, trying to predict where people are going to go. Maybe if they're doing the same thing over and over, you can see what's going to happen before they're going to do it. Oh yeah, also information. So information is really, 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 really important in Valorant. It's kind of obvious to say it, but some people don't realize how strong information is. Just like a lot of other games, if you know what people are going to do before they do it, then obviously it's going to help you. Or if you know where people are as the round starts, then you know what they might do. So for example of information is, let's say you're playing defense on Haven. What you can do at the beginning of every round is you can peek quickly like this with your knife, so you're moving quickest. Or you could even peek with your gun. It doesn't matter. But if you peek with your knife, you're going to be quickest. Because what a lot of teams will do in ranked, especially in lower ranked, is they pick a site and they say, okay, team, let's go there. And that's what they do. They just, attacking team goes, let's go A. Let's go A. We're just going A. That's what we're doing. So at the beginning of the round, they just, as soon as it starts, they just all sprint across, and that's what they just hard rush A. So if you're going like this every round, and the other team is a team that's doing that, you can see like, okay, no one crossed. They're probably going B or C. I'm just going to rotate out because they never go back to a different site. They always just pick one site and go that. So you can get a little bit of information. Or if you peek across like this and you see 2 people run across, you can tell your whole team, they're going A, everyone come A, so you can have your team rotate. Maybe have one person stay back. But you can have your team rotate to A to start defending right away. The reason this is a lot better is because, for example, if you're playing at A defense and you're just playing like this, and you're just holding the point, and then all of a sudden 2 of them walk around the corner right here and 2 of them show up right there, you're gonna be like, oh, they're at A. But the problem is your team is at B and C and they're already on site at A. They're gonna run you over and kill you and plant the bomb, and their team doesn't have any time to rotate to A to help you. So then your team is at a huge disadvantage. Bomb is down. They have a 4v5. So information, knowing things ahead of time can help you a ton in a game like Valorant. I think that's a big mistake I see a lot of people do. Another big example is I saw the same thing last game. I literally just played a game where I had a teammate that was defending C, and this is all he did at C the entire game. He just sat. We ended up winning the game, so it didn't really matter, but he just sat like this the entire time. He just sat like this. And the problem with this is if they 5-man rush down C and they just swing the corner, he's going to die. He might be able to kill one, but the rest of our team doesn't know that they're going C, and they're going to get the bomb down. Whereas if he peeks every now and then sees like 3 people there, he can be like, oh, there's 3 people C. Maybe let's send another person to C to help defend. So information, really, really important in a game like Valorant, and that's what you can do to get a little bit more information. And that's why you see a lot of characters like Cypher and Sova being picked, because they're information-based characters, and that can help you win. Same thing goes back to predicting specific players. If you see a player in the other team that's popping off and he's doing the same thing every single round, let's say you have like a Sage that's putting a wall up right here. If you don't know, if you can put a wall right here with Sage, and you can peek over this door to there.
Right here.
And it's a really cheesy way to get kills. If the Sage is doing the same exact thing every round, when you're on attack, you can just go like this. And you can kill her. So you can predict what a player is doing if they're doing the same thing every single round and counter them. Then another thing I wanted to talk about was aim prediction versus aim skill. So aim prediction is where you're, let's say, sitting on site and you know they're coming down C long, and you're holding like this, and you have your crosshair right here because you know as soon as they swing that corner, your crosshair is going to be right on their head, and all you got to do is shoot like that. That's aim prediction. So crosshair placement, knowing where to put your crosshair, or if you're playing like right here and you know that if they come around the corner, you can just shoot like that because that's where their head is going to be. That's aim prediction. Aim skill is where you're in a fight in the open and you're able to flick accurately and hit, you know, if there's 2 people here, you're able to go like that and hit accurately. That's where you need to practice in the practice range, or just play the game a lot and, you know, get better at flicking mechanically and getting good at moving your crosshair to where you want it to be. But both of them take part. So like if they're in B, you know, this could be aim prediction where you're walking around the corner and they might swing, but then when you swing, then you need to flick. So you want to use aim prediction and aim skill together to be a lot better. Another thing is I want to talk about is clearing corners. Really, really important. A lot of bad players don't do this, but in Valorant, it's very important to never assume that no one is there. Always clear every corner that you go through, unless you know for sure that, like, you know, all 3 people are at A, no one's anywhere else, then you can just run. But if you're walking down here, for example, you can clear corners by staying furthest away from the corner. So if you're trying to clear that corner, it's much better to do it from back here like this than it is to do it like this. Because if you're like that, the person in that corner can see you first compared to here. You'll be able to see each other at the same time. If you're like this, you'll actually have a little bit of advantage because of Peeker's advantage. But you want to do it from as far as possible than being as close as possible. This is something that someone brought up in my first video that I never mentioned, but that can help you a lot. And you want to do this through a whole path. So let's say you want to clear from here to here. You want to be like this. So you clear like this. No one's there. Then you back up like this. And then you go like this. And then you go like that. Then like that. And it's clear. And then you can slowly work around right here. No one's here. And then you have your crosshair up here. No one's there at the moment. And then you can go like this. No one's there. Then you can swing like that. And then swing like this. You want to make sure you're clearing every corner. Always have your crosshair ready. So I'm using this box to give me cover from over here. So no one can see me. I can check that corner. And then I can back up. Check this corner. Back like this. You see how, like, when you watch a really, really good player play this game, they'll constantly be watching every corner as they're pathing through, just to make sure that no one is going to shoot them in the back, and they're always clearing every space. Because a really bad thing is, let's say you and a teammate are going through here together, and you're in front of him and you look like this, but you don't bother checking that corner.
Right here.
You just look like this and then you go like that. What a lot of good players will do is they'll just sit in this corner and they'll let you walk by, and then they'll just wait for your teammate to cross, because why would your teammate check here when you just looked like this and then went like this? Why would your teammate check that, right? He would just follow you. So they'll sit like this, kill the second guy, and then they'll kill you. So they'll end up with 2 kills instead of just 1. That's cool. You can actually look in there. Another really good thing is, chat, what do you guys think is one of the top #1 things that you should have under control when you're playing ranked? What do you think causes a lot of games to be L's? And what helps you win the most that isn't just being good at the game? Your mindset, dude. Your mentality. Dude, if you are a person that gets tilted or gets toxic or gets annoyed, you are going to simply lose more than the other person that has the equal amount of skill as you, that has a better mentality. And it works both ways. One, you don't want to be the person that gets tilted or toxic or annoying or makes condescending comments or anything like that. It happens. Everyone does it. But if you can minimize it, it's going to help you win a lot more. But also, on the flip side, you don't want to be the person that gets annoyed off someone else that's being toxic. Because if someone else is being toxic and then you get annoyed, it's just going to make you play worse. And handling other people's toxicity is going to be really important. It's an important skill to learn. Is, okay, if this guy on my team talks shit, what are you going to do about it, chat? What do you guys think you should do? Should you talk shit back? No, because that's going to create a fight. Should you mute him and not worry about it? Look, you can open up this where is it at? Team. You can open up this team setting and you can mute his chat, you can mute his voice, you can report him, and that's it. Just move on. Just mute him. If he says one thing that's mean or whatever, just mute him. I'm pretty sure in this game, just like other games, even if you mute someone, they can still hear you talk in voice chat. So if you want to still make callouts to someone that's being toxic, then you can still do that. I'm not sure if it's still like that in this game, but it is like that in a lot of games, so I'm sure it is. I never actually tested it, but regardless, your mentality in ranked is going to help you a lot to climb. And you don't want to be the guy that makes the whole system worse. You want to be the person that makes the situation better when the situation is bad. Yeah, it's really good. Mindset is super important, especially in ranked. And I'm going to tell you guys this now. Valorant is a competitive game, and what is something that happens in every single competitive game, chat? What do you guys think the answer is? It gets toxic, dude. I will give you $1 million if you ever play a competitive game that isn't toxic. League of Legends, Overwatch, anything. Anything where you can't pick your teammates is going to be toxic. If you're solo queuing, if you're queuing as a 3-stack, and you have 2 randoms, it can still get toxic. It's always like that. It just depends on how you handle it and handle the situation. And also a mentality, you should always play to improve, which leads me into my next thing I want to talk about is practice and learning to improve. With mentality is you always want to play to improve. That's where you don't want to be the blame gamer, even though blaming can actually be helpful to you. It just can come off as negative. So if you're going to blame, maybe make sure you come across as like, you know, you're trying to do it for yourself to learn, or you're not trying to be mean or whatever. You're trying to like actually help someone, or don't even say it to them at all. Just say it to yourself. So if you're spectating someone on your team and they end up, you know, not checking a corner and then they die, maybe say like, I don't know, like, yo teammate, do you mind if I give you some advice? I'm not trying to be toxic. And if he says no, then just don't say it. If he says yes, then be like, oh, you could have checked the left corner first, because you never, you know, you don't want to assume that he's not there. Or if you're spectating him, be like, oh, my teammate just died. Like, tell yourself this, like, my teammate just died because he didn't check that corner. I'm gonna make sure I don't do that next time I'm playing. Just the same as yourself. Every time you make a mistake, for example, like, let's say you use brimstone ult like this, and you didn't hit that corner right there, right? That corner, and you just assume that no one's there, and then you end up dying to that guy in the corner. Be like, oh, okay, that's the mistake I made. Next time I use my brimstone ult, I want to make sure that I cover that entire space, so I know for sure that no one's there, and I'm not going to make that misplay next time. So like mentality behind practicing and improving, getting better, can definitely be really, really, really helpful, and it's one of the best things that pro players do better than what noob players do. Noob players, they make the same mistake over and over and over, and they never improve. If they do improve, they improve at a really slow pace. Where pro players, they make a mistake, they get pissed about it, and they get better. That's just what happens. You know, they don't make the mistake again. That's something that can help a lot, is talking about your mistakes. And one of the best ways that you can do, a really good way that you can improve from your mistakes, other than just practicing, is VOD reviewing yourself. So a really basic tip that I gave people a long time ago, you don't need to follow this exactly, but it's actually a pretty cool thing that you can do, is you can VOD review your own gameplay. Like, you record your gameplay. Let's say you play 3 games in one day, and then you record all of it. And then after you're done, you can go back quickly through those 3 games, and you can watch it back. You can watch it back with audio and video, and be like, okay, what did I do wrong here? What can I do to improve? Like, what were my mistakes? You can watch back, and it helps a lot. And then you can watch back with no audio. You can just watch back with only video, and be like, all right, so how's my aim here? Like, how's my movement? Is my crosshair placement good? You know, how's my positioning? And then you can go back and you can even watch it or listen to it with just the audio, and be like, how are my voice communications here? How are my reactions to how my teammates are speaking? Stuff like that. Like, you can listen to your audio and listen to sound effects. Like, if you hear like an Omen teleport, be like, did I react to that Omen teleport? Or like his little shadow step thing. Because if you guys don't know, when Omen does his little shadow step, he can teleport from like here to there.
Right here.
It makes the noise right there, but it doesn't tell you where he teleported to. It just makes the noise where he was. So you can be like, okay, if I heard that, did I like realize that he did the teleport? Like, did I even hear that while I was playing? Can I improve on that next time I play? So that's like some unique things that you can do to improve a little bit more and a little bit better. Is it better to play a lot of games consecutively or take breaks? Me, I just play a lot of games consecutively, but it just depends on the type of person that you are. I think there is a limit where if you play like 20 hours straight, like, you know, the last like 5 hours or last like 10 hours might be like just wasted. Like, you might, you know, just be drained. Like, your brain might be turned off. Just feel mentally like incapable of improving. And then the last thing I wanted to talk about was grouping up versus not grouping up, and what type of grouping that you want to do. And obviously ranked isn't out yet, so I don't know the perfect answer for this, but based on other games, one of the best ways to climb was to play in a group, but not necessarily play in a full group. So I think a lot of people are going to tell you to play in a full 5-stack to climb faster and to win, to get higher rating quicker, when I think that is probably going to be wrong with this game. And I think a lot of other pros that I talk to, or like not pros, but like, you know, pros in other games or really good players, they agree that playing in a 5-stack might not always be the best way to climb. Because the problem with playing in a 5-stack is you're going to be playing against other 5-stacks that are very, very good. And you're also going to get longer than normal queues, which is going to make it so you have less games to play. So the important thing is, if you want to try to get better and learn and improve and become a better player, playing in a 5-stack is the best way to do it. You always want to play in a 5-stack because it's best for communication, teamwork, you know, competitiveness. 5-stack is the way to do it. But if you're only looking for rank increase and trying to get higher rank as quick as possible, then playing a 5-stack most likely isn't the play. What I recommend is doing a 3-stack, which is grouping with 2 other teammates, or a potential 4-stack playing with 3 other teammates, and then just carrying the random. But it just depends on like what works best for you. Sometimes even duoing works best. I know in Overwatch, one of the best ways to climb was just to play duo. Like, you're a really good DPS player, you play with a really, really good tank player, and you just hard carry every game. And that was one of the best ways to climb. That's how a lot of the high rank players did it. I think solo queue, like quad or 4-man stacking could actually be the worst thing, because you might play 4-man stack, you get a random teammate on your team that might suck or might not want to talk to you guys or communicate, or might get tilted easily or whatever, and then you get matched against another 5-stack where they're going to have a strict advantage because all of them are going to be in Discord together, talking in voice chat. All of them have played with each other, they know each other, and they'll just simply have an advantage over your team of 4. So sometimes team of 4 could be the absolute worst thing. And then last, solo queue is typically going to be a much less enjoyable experience, because you have a higher chance of people picking your character that you want to play, higher chance of people leaving the game, higher chance of people being toxic, higher chance of being people that don't really care or don't want to improve or, you know, win or whatever. They just want to do their own thing. So solo queue can be rough, but like it goes back to what I said about mentality is when you're solo queuing, you need to understand that you might get people on your team that never played CSGO. They might be new to Valorant, or they might be having a bad day. So they might be tilted or whatever. So you just got to understand that some of your solo queue games are just going to be a bad experience, and that's just how it is. So yeah, I think that's pretty much everything that I could talk about. I went through that pretty quickly, but we covered a lot of information. The only thing I could talk about is settings. I'm gonna briefly go through my settings, just so anyone that's watching the video might want to, you know, copy any of my settings. You can just pause the video whenever you want, just to see my specific settings. Crosshair is all preference, by the way. I like a small crosshair like this because it helps me the most, but that's a very preference-based thing. It doesn't matter. It just depends on the person. You can have a big crosshair, you can have a small crosshair, you can have one that moves. Whatever works best for you. This is just the cheat in-game custom thing. Yeah, there's my settings, and I think that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys don't know, I stream on Twitch 7 days a week, 8 hours plus every single day. Twitch.tv/PVPX. And I'd love to have you guys come by. If you do come by, make sure you type in chat at my name and say that you came from this video. That'd be really cool to see. And if you haven't seen part 1 and part 2 of this, then definitely go back and watch that. And we have a ton of other content coming. I usually upload gameplay videos every day or every other day. Montages, other stuff coming. And if you have any questions, definitely put them in the comments. I try to answer comments. And yeah, thanks for watching the video. And that should be it.